this election, Baltimore City voters are deciding on Question G, a charter amendment that would create a new city fund.
The money would come from the state to help communities who are disproportionately affected by anti-cannabis laws.
Since Baltimore is expected to get a large amount of that money, Fox 45's Jessica Babb joins us live for a closer look at who will get to spend it. Jessica?
Yeah, so when it comes to Question G, there's a lot of different opinions. On one hand, city council members want to make sure this money from the state is managed well and doesn't end up into the general fund. Other city leaders, though, say it's unnecessary. Now, one state senator is weighing in and says to ensure accountability and transparency, this fund should not become a nonprofit like other Baltimore City funds have. Heading to the ballot box, Baltimore City voters will have to choose, voting yes or no on Question G. It's a charter amendment that will establish a city fund, allocating money to communities whose members were disproportionately affected by anti-cannabis laws before it was legalized. These funds will come from the state.
This ensures that the money goes into this separated account, and the money can only be spent for what is established through state law through that commission.
If this charter amendment passes, the Baltimore City Community Reinvestment and Reparations Commission would manage the money in a newly created fund.
It's more about ensuring that the equity is maximized associated with this money.
And while city leaders have spoken out against it,
on behalf of the administration, I like to state that we understand the intent of this legislation, but we hold that it's not necessary.
Including in this letter from Dana Peterson Moore, the director of the Office of Equity and Civil Rights, where she says the city has no control over the flow of state dollars into the fund, especially since it's not expected to last forever. She says without an extension by the General Assembly, the fund will cease to exist in 10 years, posing a significant challenge, leaving the city charter with an unfunded mandate. Continuing to say rather than establishing new funds unnecessarily, it's more prudent to utilize existing ones. Taxpayer advocate David Williams says it could end up costing taxpayers millions.
People really look at the substance of this. They will realize that this is a huge financial liability.
But the council passed it, and it's on the Baltimore City ballot.
This bill is approved.
Now, Senator Mary Washington, who represents Baltimore, is weighing in. In an email, she says if the voters approve the measure, the fund should be located in the Office of the Comptroller for Fiscal Transparency and Accountability. She says it should never become a separate nonprofit like the Baltimore Civic Fund or managed by an outside operative like the Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, funds that have previously come under controversy for a lack of transparency. Last session, Senator Washington proposed legislation creating community councils, which would be responsible for allocating these funds received from the state.
This bill establishes for Baltimore City a procedure and a principal body that is informed on transparency, accountability, equity, and pragmatism.
But her bill didn't pass. Now it's up to voters to decide how these dollars are distributed.
When you have city agencies telling you not to set up this fund and for this charter amendment not to go through, that should be a huge red flag.
In public hearings earlier this year, city officials said they'd already started getting some of this money from the state, and they've been putting that money into separate accounts. And there are also strict rules and guidelines on how the city or anyone else who manages it can spend it. Live in Baltimore, Jessica Babb, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.